Let's build a PWA with Lit. First, we must have installed Git, Node.js, and an editor like Visual Studio Code. Let's now go to the command prompt and create a Lit app. npm init openwc. Scaffold a new project. Application. Building rollup. TypeScript no. Name Lit tutorial. We need to include a dash in the name. Right, yes. Install dependencies, yes, with npm. No, cd lit tutorial. And npm run start. There it is, our Lit app. Let's open our new folder Lit tutorial in Visual Studio Code. Let's take a look at the created files. Let's see package.json. It has the script. We already used this one when we said npm run start. We can also say npm run build to build the app for production. It also has the installed dependencies, lit, and the development dependencies. The Node modules folder stores all the third-party libraries and dependencies required for the project to run. Let's now see the entry point file index.html. It has the main entry point element lit tutorial and its JavaScript ES module source lit tutorial JS in the current folder. Let's take a look at it. It imports lit element, HTML, and CSS from lit. This is the class lit tutorial. It extends lit element. Here we register the custom element with the browser, linking the lit tutorial tag to the lit tutorial class. Let's see the render method. Lit uses stacked template literals. They are HTML with JavaScript expressions inline. Let's see this text, my app. Here we display it. It is the header property. It is wrapped with $, and curly braces because it is an inline JavaScript expression. Here in properties, it is declared type string. Here in the constructor, it is initialized, my app. That's the text we are talking about. We can rather say lit tutorial. There it is, lit tutorial. We can get rid of this and rather create a count property and place a button there to increment its value by 1. Let's get rid of this. And place the button. Count is, and here we place a new property count. Let's create the property here. Count type number. Let's initialize it here in the constructor with 0. Let's see how we handle events in lit. We can use this decorator for the name of the event and the event handler is this function handle click, for example. Let's implement it. Handle click, and we increment the value of this property count by 1. There it is, the button count is, and if we click it, we see that the count property is incremented by 1. Now for illustration purposes only, let's create another element that allows the user to input the value of the count property. Let's call it input count. Let's import it. And let's create it. Input count.js. Class input count. We registered it with the tag input count. We create another count property in this new element. We initialize it in the constructor, and in the render method we display it, and we place an input. And we give it a green background to distinguish it from the parent element. We use this common pattern value as number at input. This count is equal to its target value as number. And we have to pass the value of the count property of the parent element lit tutorial to the count property of the child element input count. Here we pass it, that count equals this count. Here we pass the value to the child element. When we click, the value is reflected in the child element. This is what is called properties down. The count property is being passed down from the parent element to the child element. But if we change the value of the count property of the child element, the value of the count property of the parent element doesn't change. We have to dispatch an event from the child element to tell the parent element to change the value. That is known as events up. So in the event handler, let's change this for the name of a function rather than the function itself. Handle input. Let's implement it. This is what we already had. Discount target value as number. And let's create an event in which we pass the value of count and then we dispatch it. And in the parent component, we listen to the event. At count change it. E discount equals E detail count. This is properties down and events up. Now when we change the value of the count property in the child element, it is reflected in the parent element with this event that we are dispatching. It is complete. Properties down, events up. Now we want the app to be a progressive web app. Let's create a manifest file. Manifest.json. And we need these images in the assets manifest folder. And favicon in the assets folder too. There it is, favicon. And the images in the assets manifest folder. We also need to add some things to index.html. There it is, favicon, manifest. This is style sheet. Meta tags. Service worker. And Redux. And let's see runtime caching. Rollup config.js. We want to add a new runtime caching rule. Now we can npm run build the app and see that it is working offline.